Hi, my name is Ron Greep. I'm from the United States of America, and currently you're listening to the Parrot Cave podcast.
Broadcasting live from the Paracave. Hello and welcome to another interesting bumper episode of the Paracave podcast. My name is Troy Warner and I'll be your host this week and every week as per usual. First of all, welcome to any new listeners that have discovered the podcast of recent and had a listen. I encourage you not only to listen and subscribe to the podcast, but check out the back catalogue as well with interviews with some real legends of rugby league as well. And let me know what you think by leaving a rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen to. Now, to this week's chat, and it's back to the rugby league fans' story about the support of their club and the game of rugby league, and it's with a gentleman by the name of Ron Greep. And you're probably saying, I should say, who's Ron Greep? Well, Ron is born and bred in the United States of America, just outside of Chicago, and he happens to support and love the Parramatta Eels. Ron is a newcomer to the game of rugby league, having only discovered it about 3 years ago. But since then, he has studied the game inside and out to learn about it, like learning the rules, the players, the clubs, etc. And it's a really interesting story about one fan support of the Eels all the way over there in the United States. So that story shortly, but also, did anyone happen to watch the podcast on YouTube last week? Please subscribe to the Paracave podcast on YouTube, as any video content that I put up or any video interviews I do will be put up on YouTube, and putting little short clips and both the full episode into two parts on YouTube, make it a little bit easier to watch, but that's available on YouTube, so please subscribe and watch some of the content on there. One thing I can briefly share with you now is the possibility of some Paracave podcast merchandise coming soon, thanks to, in the way of shirts coming to you by the way of BTZD Clothing, who specialise in customised teamwear, sports clothing and apparel. More details to come about those soon, so stay tuned for that one. But in the meantime, if you're interested in any team sportswear, simply head to www.btzd.com.au for more details and see what they can do for you. So thank you very much, BTZD, for coming on board with the podcast. But one thing I can confirm is coming soon, there will be some Paracave podcast hats that will be available to purchase as well. And I can tell you, I reckon they look great. So stay tuned to the social media channels for details on how you can purchase one. So a big year with a few little extras coming up this year. So thank you for the support and listening each week, and may you enjoy the content that comes out each week. I really hope you enjoy it, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you guys, the fans. So without this wouldn't be all possible without the help of the sponsors and support as well. So thank you very much. And those sponsors are major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Perfect for that beer lover, or Parramatta Eels lover as well, with a Parramatta Eels logo on the can. Beau Cook from Loan Market, your local Penrith mortgage expert. Contact Beau today on 0401 213 236 for a free chat and see what Beau and his team can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. And also Brightside Detailing and Ceramics. Scott, the owner, is a certified detailer with 20 years experience in the industry, doing everything from car detailing, paint correction, ceramic coating, and also headlight restoration as well. You can contact Scott on Instagram at brightside_detailing_ceramics, or on 0449 544 086, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. And of course, BTZD Clothing, Teamwear Clothing, mentioned as above. Thank you to all the sponsors. With your support, it helps. With your support, it helps the podcast grow and reach more people, which is much appreciated. But enough of me talking. You don't want to hear me dribble on. Enough of me talking, because I'm sure you're interested in hearing Ron's rugby league story supporting both the game and the Eels from all the way over there in the USA. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it. As you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Paracave podcast is a Parramatta fan, born and bred in America, the United States of America. So I'm really interested in hearing Ron's story about how he found rugby league and came to support the Parramatta Eels. So welcome to the Paracave podcast, Mr. Ron Greep.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. This should be a really interesting chat, because it's not every day you talk to somebody from the other side of the world and interested in our game and interested in the team that I love as well. So it'd be great to hear your story. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? What sports do you enjoy watching and playing, that sort of thing?
So again, I'm from America. I'm in the state of Indiana, but for reference points for like sports fans and stuff, I'm about an hour away from Chicago. So I'm a big fan of the Chicago White Sox. That's baseball, and then the Chicago Bears. I'm a casual fan of hockey and the Chicago Bulls and basketball. I like the Florida Gators when it comes to college football, and that's pretty much it for my fandom. And then as of 2020, I've added the Parramatta Eels to my fandom. So yeah, I'm 28 years old. Work on the railroad. I'm a conductor. I have a fiance, a 4-year-old son, and then one cooking that's coming out in April.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a problem. Sounds good. Well, you mentioned those sports there. Which one of the American sports really rates really highly for yourself? Which one do you enjoy the most?
So it's like a 1A, 1B with baseball and football. I grew up mainly playing baseball, and I love it to death. And I know recently over the last 10-ish years, it's been getting kind of backlash because of how slow it is. But I think that's people that don't understand what's really going on in the game. There's so much intricate stuff. It's the one-on-one battle between a pitcher and a batter where it's just a guessing game and trying to outwit each other, all the different minute things about that and the strategies. And I love it, and how hard it is to be good at that sport. And I grew up playing, I love it. But then as I got a little bit older, in like 5th or 6th grade, I started to play football. I remember going outside, like asking people to play, and it's like, oh, he's at football practice. Oh, he's at football practice. Oh, he's at football practice. Like, well, I guess I should get into this football thing. And I started loving football from like I said, 5th or 6th grade. And I love the Chicago Bears. And it's just, football is amazing. And my love for football transitions into rugby league and all that kind of stuff, because the games are similar, but they're obviously super different. But me loving football helped me love this sport, just as much. Like I mentioned, all the other sports, it has to probably go baseball, football, 1A, 1B, and then rugby league it's jumped all the other sports.
Wow.
Like for real. Like I love it. Like I'm yelling, like we'll get into it and all that stuff, but like I'm by myself yelling at the TV when I watch the Eels and stuff. So yeah, that's number 3. Not, it might even be 1A, 1B, 1C.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Chicago White Sox, is that the team that Michael Jordan played for back in the day when he turned to baseball?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we got another cat here. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, so he did play in the White Sox very, very briefly. Basically, so he obviously, as everyone in the world knows, he started on the Chicago Bulls, and then when he was suspended from basketball, I believe that was the case, or he retired from baseball or football. Get my words mixed up. Basketball. He played on the White Sox briefly, but he never played in a regular season game. He never played for the actual White Sox. He was signed by the organization. And there's a clip that's gone around where he's playing against the Cubs, where he's wearing the uniform and he's in the Wrigley Field. that was an exhibition game, so the game didn't count for anything. Kind of like the trials that are going on now for the Eels and the NRL. But he did play in Birmingham, which is the AA affiliate. So it's kind of like your guys' second grade team, like New South Wales and Jersey Flake and SG Ball. I know about those, and that's how the development. I still don't know which one is like. I know New South Wales is the second one, or the second grade before NRL. But yeah, basically Michael Jordan played for the development teams because not too many people can come from basketball and jump like right into baseball.
No, that's it. Well,
but yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, enough about the American sports. We're here to talk the Parramatta. Yeah. We're here to talk.
Yes,
the Parramatta.
Let's get it.
We're here to talk the Parramatta Eels. So, let's turn our attention to them. Now, you mentioned there earlier, 2020 is when you first started following the Eels. How did you find rugby league, and how did you determine that Parramatta was going to be your team?
So as everyone knows, in 2020, the world just decided to blow up and the pandemic and all that crazy stuff. So I believe all that the pandemic stuff really started for you guys before we did. So your guys' like shutdowns and stops, obviously it came and went, but your guys' sports shutdown stopped before ours did. And then ours kind of hit in March. And so I was home a lot with work, and then I eventually got furloughed. I got my job back. Everything's good. But I was furloughed, but I was home and all American sports stopped. And so I'm like, crap. And I'm like looking through the TV. They had Korean baseball on. They had replays of like Super Bowls or World Series. And then on Fox out here, it was rugby league. And at the time, I didn't know. I've always known about like rugby or rugby league. Up to that point, I didn't know there was two different kinds. I always thought rugby was rugby. I didn't know there was rugby league and rugby union.
Okay.
And that was just, I had no idea. I don't know how many Americans even do know that aren't in the rugby space or world. That was just mostly associated with just like, oh, that's rugby. But anyway, it was on. And I loved it. I was like, oh, this is cool. I might not know everything that's going on. I know the gist of it. And it's just like, wow, I'm seeing these guys play like football, but there's no pads. They're nailing each other, hitting each other. It's intense. And I already knew you can't pass the ball like in forward. And it's just the intricacies. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is super cool. So I was looking forward to it like 2 or 3 days in a row. I was hoping it was on. I saw the Eels more than any other team. Like, again, I think I watched like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, oh, this blue team's really cool. Well, Eels is a cool, logo and team. And I watched a couple games, and and again, I didn't know like any of the intricacies, and I kept seeing like number 1, who was Gutherson.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, this guy's everywhere. This guy's awesome. He's making plays. He's scoring. He's doing this. And I'm like, dude, this number 1 dude's pretty cool. Just watching, I'm like, oh, these guys, like I keep saying, are really cool. So eventually I went back to work, and I couldn't like time out watching rugby league at 9 a.m. or whatever. So I followed him on Instagram, and the real reason why I picked them specifically is just because I watched them more on the TV those days. I was like, this team's cool. I'll follow them, whatever. And so I just followed them specifically. And then I saw they were in the finals that year, but they lost early on. And then I joined a Facebook group, Parramatta Eels Army. I think we're both in that group.
Yep.
And then from there, and Instagram, and just me putting the effort to pay attention to the Eels and wanting to learn rugby league, that's kind of just why I stuck with it, and wanting to learn a new sport. Like I said, it drew my interest immediately, and I've always known about rugby in high school and stuff like that, but there was a chance to like, well, I'm not doing anything, and like if I put effort towards it, it's not that big a deal. It's like, why not learn something new as I get older, and like I'm already interested, why not dive deeper into it?
Yeah,
so
that's a really interesting story there. How many other of your mates have you sort of brought into the game of rugby league?
Well, I wish there was more, but I think, and I don't think it has anything to do with the sport itself. I think it's just the common, it's just not popular over here. And I don't think people, and I don't think people, like I mentioned earlier, don't really know I'm sure there is, but I don't think too many people know there's 2 different kinds of rugby. And the game, and I think they think it might be more of the rugby union where it's a slower game. And I tried to watch a game the other day, and I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't really like it as much knowing what I know about rugby league. But yeah, it's just, I want to watch a little bit more because Chicago got a professional team. And it's like, well, this might be the closest thing right now to a rugby league that I could watch. But anyway, going back to what you were saying, I've tried to get them to watch, and some of them are like, oh, this is cool. It's whatever. But I think more or less of it is the effort. Like I have the NRL Watch app or Watch NRL app that's through Fox, so I can watch games whenever I want. And some of your guys' sports media channels, like NRL 360, and then that Matty Johns guy. I don't know all the history behind all those guys, but I have the options to watch those shows and everything. And sometimes I will, and they're pretty good and informative, even though it's like debates and stuff. And like I mentioned again, the Facebook group, like I'm putting myself out there to make it a point that I know what I'm talking about and I understand what I'm watching and learn. And so I've had a couple friends try to watch and they think it's cool, but I'll tell, like a guy on my Facebook today was like, "Oh, football ended, don't know what to do." And I was like, "Rugby league, March 2nd. I'll watch with you. It's just as intense as football. No, like, I'll think about it." I did that today. And then whenever a highlight comes out or something that they see on their phone, they'll send it to me like, "Who is this?" Or, "Hey, would you see this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's Bobby Bly. He's really good." Stuff like that. So, I wish they would be. I wish if it was marketed more out here, maybe they get more of an interest for it so they could see what I'm saying. Because like, this is an awesome sport, and I wish it was more popular over here. I just like, it's crazy. And the marketing was different and all that kind of stuff. I can see it being popular in the United States. It's just, there's no media, there's no highlights. Maybe if something super, super crazy happened, it'd be on like SportsCenter or something or on Instagram, but it's really not. So unfortunately, I really haven't drawn anyone to come watch with me often. But in that Facebook group, I don't know if you've noticed or whatever, you got just so many people in that group, but I communicate with a dude that's from South Carolina in America.
Okay.
And he coincidentally was in the group as well.
Yep.
And we contacted each other on Facebook, and we've kind of grown our fandom together. So like, we'll watch a game and he'll be like, "What'd you think?" And then me and him would just go back and forth, and we'll kind of break it down in our way, in the same way we're learning it, and kind of go back and forth and view it that way. And his name's Kent, and he's a really good dude. So it's been cool to meet a friend by accident that's also in America, that's also learning rugby league. And
it's amazing. It's great.
That's a friend I made. So, that's something.
Well, that's part of what rugby league is about for the fans anyway, is meeting new people and friends, and over time they become your family as well. It's great.
Yeah.
So, no, that's really interesting what you're saying there, and hopefully the game can grow a little bit bigger in America. Do you think they might turn to it because it isn't played with helmets and shoulder pads? Are they still in disbelief that rugby league players don't wear those?
I bet they do. Even when I'm watching, like on the kickoffs, you'll see like the backs get the ball, and the first thing they do, give it to the big guys, and they just plow into the line. Like, it must be in a way routine for those guys, and they know how to like brace their bodies and make the hit, bring the guy down, and so on and so forth. But every time I watch, I'm like, man, I don't want like Junior Paulo like blowing his body into my chest. Like, I'm like, how do they do that? I'm sure there's a form, but I'm like, this guy's a monster. No way. And there's guys that are just bigger than him or just as big. No way. It still blows me away. And then like some of the hits that they make, and it's like, there's obviously always head injuries, but there's always the concussion thing. And in America, that's huge because obviously you're all padded up in football. And I think the concussion numbers were up this year, surprisingly, with all the different protections and things that they have, which is a very good thing. But if they didn't have any pads and anything, those numbers would go way down because guys would be more conscious of like, hey, I don't got anything on. So I'm going to have to make like a cleaner hit, a smarter hit, not use my body as like a weapon pretty much, lack of a better term. And it is wild. Like Reggie Bush, he was a really good Heisman winning running back. He tweeted a couple weeks ago of a highlight of some rugby league guys. And I don't remember the quote, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, wow, look at these guys hitting with no pads, or wow, these plays, these guys are crazy. And it was maybe early 2000s, 1990s highlight tape of like rugby league. Maybe it was even whatever it was, but people are commenting rugby league. Hey, that's a storm. Hey, it was so-and-so running the ball. Oh, you'd love it. And so people are aware of like, give them credit. Like I think I mentioned to another buddy of my dad's like, hey, rugby league, get into it. He's like, those rugby league guys, they're crazy. Like the rugby guys, it's a whole nother sport. Like those guys are something else. Like that's why they don't wear pads. I'm like, maybe a little bit, but it does blow me away every game when I see a hit. 'Cause I'm like, wow, or holy crap, man. Like for sure. Like it makes you appreciate those athletes because seeing football, how it's played out here, it makes you think like there's people that don't use pads that are hitting as hard as they can, trying to like knock the ball out, get the ball. It can be done. And with my buddies, they want to play like pickup football on Thanksgiving and stuff. Some of them want to be like, no pads. I'm like, we have jobs. Like I can't, I want to tackle, but I don't want to tackle because then I'm out of work. You paying my water bill and all that kind of stuff. And then I see like Mitch Moses laying out these guys or like, whoever just blowing someone up, Michael Siegel throwing someone on the sideline or out in touch or just, I'm like, my God. Yeah. So it is awesome. I love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
nah, definitely. It's wouldn't want to be on one of the end of their tackles, that's for sure. Even Mitchell Moses, he's a tackling machine.
Yeah, he had that
There was,
big hit last year. I forgot who that was against.
yeah, I
Who
think it
was?
was
I
against the
remember.
Storm. I think.
Oh, was it
And
like Ramich? Was that who he hit? One of
yeah,
the
it was.
Bromwich
Yeah, I
brothers?
think so. I think you're right there. And yeah, that was a cracker of a tackle, that one.
Oh
Well,
yeah. Oh yeah.
well, you mentioned before, and I noticed before when you turned around, you had the number one on the back there. Obviously, Clint
Hmm.
Gutherson's your favourite player. Um,
Oh yeah, he's the man.
yeah, King Gutho, as they like to call him, captain again
Hmm.
this year.
Hmm.
And you mentioned a couple of other players there. Um, who else have you noticed over since 2020 as being your favourite players?
So I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer your question in two different ways. So 2020, I didn't know anybody, just Eels, and then you'd see like different players that like were kind of signature and stuff. Kind of like one that stood out early in 2020 was like Peppenhausen because of his hair and
Okay.
stuff.
Yep.
So I noticed him. I'll get into the Eels, don't worry. But 2021 was my first full season watching the game, every game. And I even went into like, oh, I'll just watch it. If they win, they win. Like, I want them to win. I'm not really going to care about the rules. Well, it took about less than a minute to like, a penalty or why they're kicking here. Wait, there's tackle count and this. I'm like, wait a minute. And the clock's not stopped. I'm like, yeah, I'm not just going to fly by. I want to learn the rules.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I'm like, I want to learn the rules. And my favorite team is going to be the Eels. I want to learn the Eels. I want to learn my guys. So I just focused on learning only Eels players. And obviously, as you watch the games, you know who the studs are on the other teams. So at the end of the 2021 season and the start of the finals, the playoffs, I could tell you who was like a stud on each team, or maybe three guys. But all the Eels guys I knew, and even some of the guys coming up, and I felt really comfortable with that. And then my goal was in 2022 last year was I'm going to learn. I know the Eels. I know all the new Eel guys. I'm good. I understand the rules. I felt like 99% confident of what I'm doing when I'm watching. So if I spoke on something or asked a question, I felt fine. Excuse me. And my goal for 2022 is to learn all the other players on the other teams, or at least let's just say 10 out of the 13 on the field.
Okay.
Because there's some of those guys and some of the names are kind of hard to remember and see, and then all that kind of stuff. So at the end of 2022, I feel really confident about who's on what team, what teams are like the legitimate contenders and the changes and the turnover, and more than, like I said, three studs on each team. But let's go back to the Eels. Yeah. My favorite guy is Gutherson because he is not Peppenhausen with the speed. He's not a freaking tank like Trebojevic. He's not, quote unquote, the best fullback like Tedesco. It's just he's just not those things. But at the same time, he's elite. He's the leader. I love watching when they zoom out because they don't always do it when he's like barking orders, saying like, "Go get." I don't know how the calls on rugby league, but you see him command the team from all the way back there. And whenever a guy does break free, I got crap. And then obviously the fullback comes in the picture. He seems to always make those game-saving tackles or try-saving tackles or whatever it is. And like some guys just get like beat out. Now, if it's like two guys versus Gutherson, I can't get mad when he flips and the other guy scores because like, what do you do? Like, I don't even know what I would do. Like, you gotta guess at that point. But
that's right.
He's always there to clean up when like it's a breakaway for the Eels. He's right there. He's like, I just appreciate all the things he does on the field and his effort. And one of the things I learned when I played football, and I'm sure in every different form of football, even if like you're not a part of the play, always go to the ball. Like in football, if I'm on defense and some dude catches it and there's like four guys over there that's going to tackle him, well, let me just run over there as fast as I can. Maybe I'll make a play. And even if I don't, if they fumble it, I could be in a position to catch the ball. I could be in a position to pick it up, or maybe I catch it if it goes in the air. Just like put yourself in the position to be ready for something if something happens. Always be a part of the play. And I just feel like taking what I said, Gutherson is always around the ball. And he's always either cleaning it up, scoring, or being that guy before it breaks free. And I just appreciate all the things he does. And he isn't the most like physically athletic freak, type of player. And yeah, so I just really appreciate those type of players. I've talked about Dylan Brown. I think that he might be, in fact, you can quote me, the coolest guy in the country of Australia. He might be, for sure. And I follow him on Instagram, and he's got a White Sox hat. I'm like, might have sealed it. Might have sealed it. This is my guy. He's awesome. He's cool to watch. He's the freaking of an athlete when it comes to his speed and his breakaway. And see him in 2021. I was like, oh, this guy's dope. This guy's so cool. This guy, he's quick. He's fast. And part of understanding the players is also understanding the positions. Because I see guys like Mitch Moses, who's a beast, a dog, and I love watching him. But like I see them in part of 2020 when I was watching these highlights as I'm learning, or just like, oh, this game's cool. I saw all these highlights of Mitch Moses breaking free for a try, breaking free, juking guys, making guys miss. And I'm like, oh, and then I started actually watching the games. I'm like, these number 7s and number 6s aren't really scoring all the time. Like they may be the fastest guy in the field, but that's shit. Spilled my water. Sorry about that. Shit. Is there a way to pause or anything like that?
Yeah.
I was learning the sport. I always see like Dylan or Mitch Moses like scoring on all these highlights, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's really, really, really good, really fast." Maybe this, that's what the number 7, the halfback, does. Because in the NFL, halfback is the running back, and they're always scoring, those big breakaway runs. But when I'm watching watching the games like from start to finish, I learned that that's not typically what they do. It's mostly those bigger guys, or if they're cleaning up plays, they're more like, the way I've described it to myself is the number 6 and number 7 position is almost like a point guard in basketball, kind of like facilitating everything. Yeah. It's kind of like a mix of a point guard and a quarterback, where they're passing the ball or they're choreographing everything, like getting guys into position, making that next pass after it's played the ball by the number 9. And that's just how I kind of have to like think of it in my head to kind of make it make sense. Because like Mitchell Moses and Dylan Brown might be the fastest guys each game, pending certain people, but their goal and their job every week is not to score. So, so Dylan Brown is awesome to watch. He's, like I said, might be the coolest guy in the whole country. And trying to think who else is out there. I'm a big Sean Russell guy. Like when he popped out in 2021, I was like, oh, this guy's dope. This guy's cool. And then like the guys that I'm jumping in that have been there 3, 4, 5, 6 years, like if I'm going to grow in my fandom, like I'm not going to see these guys as long. Sean Russell's a guy coming up. Like, oh, this guy could be like my stud that like I'm coming in, he's coming in, see him grow. But then when you got Gutherson, Hayes Dunster, Sevo, I think his normal position or typical position is fullback. So we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe they'll move him and things open up. So I might not see him all that often, but the way it is right now at the moment, excuse me, he might be playing more on the end there with the injuries to Walker Blake. Sevo's not injured, I don't think, but he hasn't played the last 2 trials, and I've seen like rumors and stuff, and that'd be bad if he's hurt all of a sudden. And then Bailey Simonson's out as of right now, so he might get a lot more playing time. That's exciting because he's a good player. He's a good finisher. In the trials this week, he had 2, I think. And then what else was I going to say? Oh, last year in the first game, he had 3 tries. I was like, and then he gets hurt. I'm like, of course he gets hurt. And then we had that whole debacle for like 9-10 weeks or whatever it was at winger there. I like everybody, man, but those are some of the guys. Mitch Moses is cool. Sevo's a freight train on the end there. Like, I don't know how much you'd have to pay me for like one-on-one tackle, like on the try line there, like 20 yards or 20 meters out. I don't know. It's just scary. Like,
I wouldn't do
he's
it.
almost a guaranteed try once you get him in that 20. Like, it's awesome. There's a lot of likable guys out there, so. I'm excited. I love watching them. All the boys are really good. That's I love it, man. We got a good team. We got such a good team. I love watching. Somebody in the Facebook described the Eels as like the Cowboys, where they won a long time ago. Like the Cowboys won in the 90s, and the Eels had their big run in the 80s, and they haven't won since. And they're kind of like always good, it seems like. But then like, of course, everyone's like, oh, they're good. But watch what happens at the end. I'm like, oh man. But you know what? I love the fan base and I love the team, and I'm really happy I picked this team to be my team over all the other teams. I'd hate to kind of jump into like, I'm not talking crap about the Panthers, but I'd hate to jump right in and like be all high and mighty about that's my team, because then it's like, oh, of course you like them. They're really good right now. Like they've won back to back, or have always been the top 3 team. Like I wouldn't want to be a part of that jumping in. So I really like where I'm at, and yeah.
So there was a good thing to come out of the COVID pandemic, and that was rugby league being played in America. And we've picked up a rugby league fan, which is great. And I think there's actually a rugby league national competition starting up in America very shortly, I think. So I think former player for the Eels, Glenn Morrison's over there, I think, CEO of a team over there. So that would be interesting. I think there may be the World Cup in a few years is over in America, I think. Might be the next World Cup. I'm not too sure, but have to check that one out. But, it's really great to see that you've picked that game up, and as I said, a good thing to come out of COVID. So,
for sure.
have you gone back? You started following in 2020. Have you gone searched the like internet and stuff like that for about the Parramatta Eels previous to 2020 and their history?
I have a little bit, yeah. And I keep mentioning this Facebook thing. I apologize. That's where I get a lot of my information, to be honest, because of people sharing posted videos. I have gone back a little bit and kind of read up on it. And I know, like I said a second ago, the 80s was the big time of the Eels and how many, I think they won 4 in the 80s. Is that right?
Yep. 81, 82, okay, 83, yes. 86. Yep.
Oh, boy. But also, wasn't it they were in a lot of finals as well, but didn't win those opposite years or whatever as well?
Yeah, so 84, they made the 84 grand final. They lost to Canterbury. Semi-finals 85. After 86, it was some pretty lean times though from there. Yeah,
and that's what I was. Yeah, so that's what I learned too. And then I heard it was 2009. They were back in the finals as well, but they lost. I've done a little bit of research, but that group just shows a lot of videos and highlights. And Sterlo back in the day, he's the one with the long blonde hair, right? Back in the day,
yeah,
he played halfback.
He used to have the long blonde hair. It's all gone now, but
I've seen a lot of his highlights. It's just he's bald. I think he's bald now, but trying to match it up, looks a lot different. But I've seen a lot of the highlights of him and just how like it's interesting seeing this game, and it just looks so new to me. But then seeing those highlights of back then, and it's the same thing, just obviously older footage, and it's like, man, and then seeing some of the crowds of the 80s when they were winning. I couldn't tell you which year I was watching, but just the crazy signs, the hundreds of thousands of people, and it's just like all the history and just the broadcast. Like, how did I not know about any of this? And it just like I wish this thing was media in America, and it's not at all. And I kind of makes me upset a little bit because it's just like I feel like it's a missed opportunity to look so much history, so much of a great game, just a sport in general, and action and intensity. And I wish it was here more. I've done my own little bit of research.
How do you think the NRL could potentially market the game over there, and how could they break into the American market?
Now, I don't know. I have an answer, but I'm saying I don't know anything. I don't have any marketing experience or television experience or anything like that. But I've been thinking about this too because I was on a different podcast answering a similar question, and the things I thought about were marketing like players, marketing the big stars, just showing highlights. Because of the time difference, that might be the hardest thing. I don't think too many people are going to wake up at I do though, but wake up at 1 to 3 in the morning to watch a game.
Yeah.
So they might have to like I'm sure in the Olympics, that's how it was here. Where like, the Olympics already happened, but they're going to air it at 7 p.m. so people can watch. So it's like, don't go on your phone, don't go on Twitter, and then you can watch it as if it was live. Yeah. They'll probably have to do something like that. But the way I would think is just show stuff on TV, on Instagram. Grab more. There's accounts on Instagram called Bleacher Report and House of Highlights. If there was maybe more, and obviously the Sports Centers and ESPNs, throw more of the highlights from there onto there. Try to market it through that, and also market the player specifically. Like I mentioned earlier, Peppenhausen. That dude's like a try-scoring freak, and also he's got the long hair. Like, not the long hair, but the mullet hairstyle that makes like his trademark. Market those kinds of things. Market Trebojevic running people over all the time. Maybe there's a play where there's like 10, 12 passes before a crazy score happens. Like, market those types of things, and then the commentators like, "Are you kidding me? This is crazy." Blah, blah, blah. Just like those types of things. Like, market your individual talent, because it's a sport that shows the entire person and all the things they could do. And just if you see if you see a face to a product, that helps. Like, we just know that we don't see it. There's just no way to see any of this stuff right now. I'm going out of my way to make sure I see this stuff. Yeah, it's not being thrown at us. Like, I keep seeing all this stuff about the NBA. NBA is thrown at you, baseball's thrown at you, football's thrown at you, even if you don't want it. TikTok, this and that. Like, basically, if there's just more coverage, just
do it more for
and market the players. You guys have so many great athletes. Like, I saw a commercial sometimes on the broadcast when I watch on the NRL app. So if I watch it too early, I'll get all your guys' commercials. So it's kind of interesting to see like a McDonald's commercial in Australia that I'm like, whoa, I didn't see this. And then I hear the accents and you guys call McDonald's Macca's. I'm like, what the heck is, oh, okay, McDonald's. Oh, and I'm like, okay. But so I'll see that stuff. And I saw a commercial. I don't know what the actual company or brand was, but it was like an NRL commercial with Tedesco, Gutherson, and Damien Cook. Might have been another guy in there. I don't remember. But just like highlighting them, like their hair. They used Damien Cook's like petting a bunny. And Tedesco's like, it was just all this different stuff. And it's like, you're seeing these players like, hey, they're advertising. And then like, they're doing little cuts of them running and stuff. And there's none of that out here. And with like rugby league. So I think if there was a way to market them, like maybe Peppenhausen does that Head and Shoulders commercial. Like a lot of the players in NFL, like I know it's funny, but Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, he's got that cool curly mohawk thing. Like he's the head and shoulder. Before him was Troy Polamalu, who had the really long black hair, curly coming out of the helmet.
Oh, makes sense.
That was a thing. Yeah, and then there's like the shoe brands for basketball guys. And I see a lot of those guys wear Puma on their thing, not like Nike, like a lot out here. And that's cool. That's the brand maybe for you guys out there. Or Asics or Asics or that one brand, that other shoe brand. Yeah. Have like have like somebody. I know Gutherson's a Puma athlete. I see it on his profile. It says Puma athlete tag. Maybe they have a commercial with him or come out with like Gutherson Pumas. Maybe he has a CG logo, like how these, like everyone in the NFL or NBA, if you're like a star, you have your own logo. Stuff like that just to market yourself. Like, look at this guy. He's wearing Pumas. Yeah. Look, watch his highlights. Hey, you should buy Pumas because he's wearing Pumas. Those kinds of things. And like, I'm sure there's other athletes I'm missing it. You can market in that way. So I think it's just marketing your players, showing a face to the product, and just simply put an effort to like, hey, here's a whole highlight. Hey, here's a whole game. Let's throw one on ESPN. I know those kinds of things. Sorry, that was a little rant there, but it's something I've also been thinking about because I thought about it to myself and like alone, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Definitely a massive market for the NRL to look at getting involved in, but there was talk.
I think there's a big market.
Yeah, there was talk. I think last year or the year before about having a competition game over there. In America. I think that's sort of died a little bit. I think there may be still some talk there, but you've got Manly. I think it was Manly and South we're going to play over there with Russell Crowe and Hugh Jackman being the big fans of those teams, and maybe that might get a little bit of a kickstart. They had the State of Origin game back in 1987. Hardly anybody knew about it, and but it was.
They had one in America.
Yeah, 1987 game. It was an exhibition game, Game 4, New South Wales and Queensland. It was played, I think, in California.
I'm aware of the games. I just didn't know that was... Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, no. Should be on YouTube, I think. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Sterlo played in that game. He doesn't like that game because he got caught in had a big, massive banner and he got stuck in it, so he hates that game. But... so that was probably the first real sort of game they had in America, but there's definitely a massive market there to try and crack, hopefully one day that they can. Have you ever thought about being a overseas member of the Eels?
I mean, like, so I've seen people say that they're a member, and is that like, so the way I've taken it as when I see people post about it, is that like season ticket holders is a member? Because I thought about like, I wish I could do that with the boxes and everything that they get, like the member boxes and all the memorabilia and cool stuff you get each year. But I've always thought of it as like, well, I would do that if I lived there, but I'm not going to be a member if I can't go to every home game. So I feel like but if there was a way to do it where like I don't have to buy tickets, so like if it's season tickets are like this price and then like non-season tickets, like maybe I would do that instead. But if that was an option, I would do that because I can't go to every game. You
can become a non-ticketed member for sure of the Eels, and they'll send you some stuff.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sure. What do people say to yourself when you walk around in the street in your Parramatta jersey there? What do they say? Who's that? Where's that from?
Yeah, so I get that too. I don't pop the jersey out too much because it is kind of baggy and stuff. And then it's like I I don't go to too many things. It's like go to work, come home, wear sweatpants, go to the grocery store and stuff. But I try to wear it out when I can. I try to go on the NRL website, and then I go on the Eels website for the team store, and I try to get as much merch as I can. I got 2 or 3 different hats. I actually got a couple more hats. I got this jersey. I got the 2021 jersey. I want to get this year's white jersey and the gold one. I think that one looks sick. And I know you got like every jersey from like 1902. So, no, 1947, actually. That's when they started. I'm just joking. But, yeah, I love the merch. And people do ask me, like, what is that? Is that soccer? Like, you see kind of all the advertisement. People think like soccer over here. That's like one of the only sports that we kind of see that have that. I'm like, no, it's rugby league. Oh, I like rugby. I'm like, well, it's rugby league. What was the difference? And then it starts a conversation. Some people are like, was it a snake? And I'm like, no, it's an eel. They're like, where's Parramatta? I'm like, it's in Australia. And then like, it's more like a conversation starter. And it's actually kind of cool because I get to talk about it and like, well, how do you watch? And then like, what time is it? It's cool. I love the gear. I love the colors. I love the logo. It's sick. I like it.
Yeah, no, I reckon it's great. I mean, as you said, it definitely is a conversation starter, and it gets the word out there about rugby league, and you can be the voice of America for Parramatta, I think.
I might have to be. Yeah, me and Kent in South Carolina, we have to raise our banners up. Like, I have to learn the song that they sing at the end of games. It's hard to understand when they're chanting and throwing beer and water in the air. It's like, God, man.
Yeah, that's it. Is there ever any dreams, I guess, of coming out to Australia and coming to CommBank Stadium and watching the Eels play?
Excuse me. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I wish I can, man. It's become more and more of a mission, a dream to come to Australia. Even before finding out about rugby league and the Eels, my son loves Bluey, and I'm sure you and everyone else over there knows what Bluey is. And it's just it was one of those. Oh yeah, and it was obviously a big show, so we watch like, oh my god, Australia, that'd be so cool, this and that. And then find out the NRL is like in Australia, obviously in 2020. I'm like, oh my god, and then find this out. It's like, oh, now I really want to go because I want to like go for him and maybe do like Bluey stuff or different things out there to show him. And then obviously like if I were to go out there, I'd want to go to at least 2 games because I don't know when if a game's on a Saturday and the next one's on a Friday, like I'm going to both because I don't know when I'll ever go back. Yeah. It's more of a matter of just money, just like no matter where you travel these days. And then it's kind of expensive depending where you want to go, but then you slap on going out of the country, just slap $1,000 on plus this, plus that. And it's just, could I go? Yeah, but it's just, I got, like I mentioned at the beginning, I got a baby coming, and I'd like to move out of my house, get a bigger house. It's my first house. I want to kind of have my forever house and all these different financial things. And just like, it's expensive. So it's going to happen. I just can't tell you when it's going to happen. Maybe, like I said, buy a house, maybe in the next couple of years, hopefully, fingers crossed. But for sure, I'd love to come to a game and see the atmosphere. It's not a NFL game, it's not a baseball game, it's not a soccer game, it's a rugby league game, and just being in that overall atmosphere and feeling the pandemonium, the adrenaline, momentum, just to be there would be insane. And maybe, people hear me talking with my American accent, I'd be like, hey, what is this guy next to me is talking, where are you from? And just starting up and maybe like meet me another best friend out there and just like, let's go, and just all the intensity and everything. And for sure, it's something I really, really, really want to do. For sure.
Yeah, no, well, if it ever happens, let me know, and we'll catch up for sure. And
for sure,
I'll show you around the sights and delights of CommBank Stadium, the best rectangular stadium in Australia, I reckon. But from what you've seen of the stadium on TV, obviously, and what are your thoughts about the stadium? How do you think it sort of, I know it probably doesn't compare to the massive stadiums in America, but what are your thoughts on CommBank Stadium?
So it looks really nice, really, 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 really nice compared to some of the other stadiums I've seen when the Eels play away games. It looks, I guess, comparable to something out here because of it has like, I don't know what to call it, but like the overhangs, like it's open, but it has like the way the stands are. It kind of reminds me of a soccer stadium. Okay. But obviously it's not. I'm not a fan of soccer. I don't want to even bring soccer up. But it kind of reminds me of that type of style. But it's very, very nice. It looks high tech. It looks clean. It looks something I very much would like to go to. And I've noticed at different stadiums, like it kind of looks like something that's like a high school like field. And I don't want to be disrespectful to any other teams, but it just looks like you got Combank, and it's like a professional, legit facility, and then you got another place like I can't think of anything on top of my head. Maybe like where the Sharks play or the No, not the Raiders. You probably know what I'm talking about, but just these really small, just like some of these smaller fields where it's like that's a professional stadium. I'm like, you got the Eels, you got this nice facility, and it's like these guys are playing there. Like, and I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't know all the things and how it is out there and how every team works, but from what I've seen, the Eels might have one of the best stadiums that I've seen of all the teams. And I think the Panthers, whenever they zoom out and they show the stadium, I think that's a nicer stadium. But I think I've seen the outside of it. It still just looks like, I don't know. It's just interesting. Yeah, the Eels stadium is really nice from what I could see. And they got the big Jumbotron, one of the corners. And I love when everyone scores. I don't know if it's just the Eels or all the teams and the Flames come out. I think that's sick. I don't know what it is. They don't do that in the NFL. And I'm like, dude, I want to see some Flames in the NFL. Let's just get some Flames there.
Well, for us in Australia, with rugby league being a winter sport, it's pretty handy when a team scores a lot of tries because the heat comes off them and gives you a bit of a warmth for a millisecond.
For sure.
But it's great.
And that's also funny too. You said winter because it's like, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say it's like summertime or springtime. Well, winter, spring into summer when rugby league starts, and then you guys are saying winter. Then sometimes. It's just so funny when I hear the broadcast, like, oh, it's a chilly day out. I'm like, they're wearing shorts and a T-shirt, and it's like 90 degrees outside. I'm like, wait a minute, they live in Australia. It's a lot warmer over there than it is here. I'm like, it's just like a funny thing to hear because it's so normal. And like, I never thought about it being winter when it's summer here. Like, it's funny about those kind of little things like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about it unless I'm watching it.
Yeah, no, that's it. How did you go last year with the grand final, or the lead up to the grand final and the grand final? How was your experience watching from afar?
So it was awesome, regardless of the end result. So the week before, I was on vacation with my fam. We went to like a water park resort in Wisconsin Dells. It's a big water park area. So I was there, and I watched the semifinal against the Cowboys in my hotel room at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Yeah. And I was on my phone just watching, and I was like getting into it. And I can't exactly remember, but I remember like a whole like play-by-play, but the whole game was just intense, awesome. And I think I remember like the last play, like it was like they could have scored, and then we finally tackled them, and it was over. And I was just like, oh my God, I was on the Facebook group. It was huge build up. I wanted to buy like the T-shirts and like grand final 2022 and just like all the anticipation. And then the next week for the grand final, it was just a lot of anticipation. I mean, like I felt, I don't know, it was kind of a little bit of a lonely feeling because I can't like talk about it.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, that's cool. Hey, my favorite team's in the championship next week or Saturday or whatever it was. Oh, that's cool. Like, you know, I mean, they can't, it's like internalize it, but it was really cool. I woke up, I think it started like 2:30 my time in the morning. So I set an alarm, I got coffee, got ready, had my jersey on, sat on the couch. I watched, I don't know who the music artist was, but that rock and roll guy before the game. Like, all right, here we go. Got the music, got my coffee. Mm-hmm. And then it started, and it kind of went downhill once it started, unfortunately, you know, all the end result. But it was very cool to see in the production and just like, you know, I don't think a lot of Eels, you can't deny that that team is amazing. They got such a good team. It's annoyingly good. I think they have the best player, second best player in Cleary, and then some argue that say that Yo is the next best player, like top 5 at least. And it's like, dang, man, you got those guys on the edge. It looks like they just reloaded like that. Isaac Tago, one of their centers, is like a rookie, and then that Tylon May's a rookie, and then they got Crichton, and then they got Toe, who I really like outside the Eels. It's like, man, just can't catch a break. And they got Jerome Luai, who's a giant goofball. But, you know, they're just like every position. Yeah, I saw that wedding video. And then just every step of their team, it's like, dang, they got a guy. Darn, you know, but the Eels do too. So, and the Panthers, they can't keep everybody. I don't know all the contract situations of who's up and not. Can't keep everybody. And Crichton's going to the Bulldogs next year. And
Kickout's gone.
Yeah, just shout out to them for being. Yeah, Kiko's gone. Yep. They can't keep everybody, so hopefully they started to even out from everybody because they're legit. And then the Eels start kind of taking that next step ahead. And then it's like, crap, now we can't beat the Eels now. The Eels are amazing.
I hope so, because I'm a Parramatta fan living in Penrith, so it's pretty crazy. So I really hope we can do that, and no doubt we can. Let's turn our attention to 2023 then. How do you think the Eels will go in 2023? What's your sort of goal for them, or what's your realistic finishing point for them, and what would you like to see?
Well, I think everyone would love to see a grand final, but obviously that's everyone in the competition and the league and fan everybody. But yeah, for sure. Obviously, I want to see them win the whole thing. But this year, I just want to see how they could fight towards adversity when it comes to those players leaving, like Papa Lee and Reed Monty. And that was a thing that kind of upset me with the media, because I do get some of the media on Facebook, like Fox League. I follow them because obviously just trying to gain my information. A lot of their articles I don't like because more or less the headline. And it's always triggering because anything about the Eels is a negative connotation. And one of them that I saw was mass exodus. And I'm like, mass exodus? Yeah, we're losing 2 legitimate starters, if I remember correctly. And then everyone else who left, not that they're bad. They might start on other teams based on the talent. But a lot of the other guys I left were bench guys. Again, no disrespect. But you still have, 11 other starters for the most part on your team on the field, despite suspensions or injuries. It's just really annoying. So I just want them to prove for my expectations, like, yeah, guys leave. That's in every single sport that's ever existed ever that involves money, contracts, and players' interest and teams on the rise, whatever it may be. So I just want them to just win like they did last year and prove everyone wrong. I think, like I said, there's that joke that's out there. It's like, the Eels, this year's the year. And it's just like, as long as they're winning at the end of the day and they make the playoffs and they maybe win 1 or 2 games, I'm okay with that as like the season. But I obviously want them to win the whole thing and just shut everyone up. Like, you know what? We might not win every year, but like, where's your team at? Oh, you haven't made the top 8 in however many years. Oh, well, we beat you twice this year. And we did that last year and the year before. Oh, and we beat, maybe they made the playoffs and then, hey, we beat you there too. So stop talking. Like, I'm sick of all those bad things about the Eels being six. It's just kind of annoying all the way out.
That's a very good point that you bring up.
It's just annoying.
Is the fact that Parramatta over the last, since 2017, have been one of the most successful teams in the competition because they have made finals every year except for one, I think it was, 2018. So, and as you said, other teams don't make the final. So, it has been a successful over the last few years. And,
for sure. And, like, things I'm looking forward to that is also turning into what I said, and it's also annoying me again. We got that Jermaine Hopgood. And from what I've learned from the time they signed, the time the season ended to now, I've learned that dude won, I believe, the Panthers' lower grade player of the year or rookie of the year, whatever their award is for the young guys. So that's like awesome. Yep. Yeah. And then I believe the New South Wales Cup plays the Queensland Cup in their lower division as a championship. I think they call it the state championship.
Yep.
And he won player of the game for that. And I don't know how all the rankings work for those guys. Sorry, my dang cat. But what was I saying? Yeah, and no one's talking about that. Yeah, we lost Papali'i, we lost Niokore, we lost who did I mention? Reed Monty. Like, yeah, those are good guys. Those are players. Those are big guys. No one's talking about, I would say, based on everything I read, the best youngest player to come up out of all the younger players that are going to be coming this year. And I don't know every other team, young guys. But, like, why isn't we talking about that? Yeah, we lost Papali'i. We got this guy coming. It was this, and this, and this. So based on our losses and gains, I don't feel like we lost too much of a step. It's not like, oh crap, now we're going to be like bottom 8. We're going to be there with the Dolphins. We didn't do anything. We lost all our guys. No one's talking about that, and it's really annoying. So I'm really excited to see that. And then another season with Brown and Moses together and Otherson killing it. So just those things kind of annoy me, and I'm excited to see the young guys grow. There's also Rodwell, who was like always talked about. I didn't really play a whole lot, but maybe he finally takes that next step. as a bench role, Weirmoo, I think I'm saying that, Weirmoo Greg.
Yeah.
That dude's huge. Let's see how he plays. You know, all these, we have guys, and most of those bench spots, and I could be wrong, usually, what is it? The number 14 is like a utility guy that can kind of play 2-3 different positions. And then the other 3 bench spots are usually big men.
Yeah.
And as long as they do their job and just kind of, I don't know, one thing I'm still trying to learn and understand is the defense for rugby league, because sometimes it's really confusing, and I get really aggravated when, like, there's a dude on the edge, and then the other team throws it to this dude that's wide open, and then the center and the winger are way over here, and they're like, oh, I gotta chase him. It's like, why is he open? And why is this? Or this guy crashes on the end, and then this guy's open. Like, why did you do that? But I don't know why they're doing what they're doing.
Feel your pain there too. Don't worry about
like,
that.
What are we doing? But I'm like, there must be a reason. So there's what I was saying, those bench spots, as long as you do your job, you don't need to have the next X factor. So when they said mass exodus, it's like, dude, we have guys coming up. Most of the guys that left are big men. We still have RCG, we still have Follow, we still have Matterson. You know, he's suspended. We have Sean Lane. Well, now he got hurt. And I just want everyone to, like, that isn't an Eels fan to just, like, shut up. Like, we're fine. It sucks to lose guys, but we're fine. Everyone else lost guys too. Panthers lost guys.
Yeah.
The Storm lost guys. No one's talking about that. Peppenhausen's out like 6 to 8 weeks or whatever. Why aren't we talking about that?
I love your optimism there. I'm of the same boat as well. I mean, we've lost Reid Marnie, but we've got Josh Hodgson. Yes, Josh is a little bit older, but he has the experience. He's played internationals. He's played in a grand final. Let's just see what he can do. You're right about Jermaine Hopgood. All those people that know rugby league are talking him up, and rightly so that they're talking him up because of the quality player that he is. So he could be the buy of the season for 2023. So that one's really looking forward to seeing him play. And there's a couple of players that you mentioned before, Hayes Dunster and Sean Russell. They were out injured last year, so they're back fit, ready to play. So be good to see them back. So you're right, every team loses players, but we're Parramatta's a development club, so we like to develop our players, bring them up through the grades, and even develop those players that aren't necessarily superstars at other clubs, like Isaiah Papali'i. When he came to Parramatta, he wasn't a superstar. He was a first grader with the Warriors, and then Brad and the coaching team have turned him into a superstar, and now he's on mega dollars at the Tigers. So we can do that.
For now, he might come back, I think.
Well, yeah, maybe. I had this little sneaking suspicion yesterday. He just being interviewed after the game. I could be wrong, but he just didn't look happy at the Tigers. So I'm not too sure about that one. But
orange isn't his color, so I think he might come back.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully one day. But I'm about the same. We make finals, top 4, anything can happen, and
for sure.
It's an exciting season, and it's going to start in, I think, 10 days' time from now. So probably 11 for you.
Yeah, right? You're living ahead of me.
11 days for you, so one extra day. But I just reckon it's great that you're supporting the Eels from the other side of the world and really getting into it and learning the game and learning the players and trying to spread the word. So I just reckon it's great. Well, we'll wrap things up with the what I like to call a set of 6 questions, a bit of personality questions, sort of a bit aside from rugby league. I won't do the sports question because you've mentioned the sports at the top there. So what's your favourite sporting documentary or movie? Can either be a serious one or it can be a comedy. I don't mind.
Documentary. I don't really have any off the top of my head other than The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, but I think everyone in the world was tuned into that, and then maybe a little bit extra pinch for the area I'm in because I'm Michael Jordan, Chicago. Movie, oh boy, there's just so many. I mean, like I said, I love baseball and football. Baseball, there's a plethora. Football, there's a handful. I mean, you can't go wrong with The Sandlot. You can't go wrong with What else is there? Bad News Bears. I don't. I guess I can't give one answer. Football. There's Longest Yard.
Yeah.
There's too many to pick from. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
that's fair enough.
there's just so many, and I love sports. So it's hard for me to pick just one.
Nah, that's fair enough. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Kitchen. I just look stuff up on the internet, and then I see what's in the fridge and see what I can come up with. But I do love grilling. I love making burgers, hot dogs, chicken, barbecue chicken. See what I can come up with, and then I really enjoy doing them. And I usually get compliments on my burgers. I don't usually do anything like crazy special, but I usually don't get too many bad remarks. So I probably cooking burgers because I like having everyone say how good it is. It makes me feel good. So
Nah, that sounds good, but it's probably. Have you thought of maybe like a game day sort of breakfast sort of thing? So because like the timing of the games over here and over there in the US, you probably wouldn't want a burger at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
So let me break down a little bit how I watch the game. So if it's an early game, like the mid-afternoon, usually it starts around like 1 a.m. And if I get off work at a decent time, or if I'm off, because I usually work afternoons, I'll be like, all right, I'll stay up and watch it. Okay. If it's like between 2 to 3 or 4 a.m., I'll go to sleep. And like I said, the app, I can watch it at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., whenever I wake up. And sometimes if I'm busy, the hard thing is staying off my phone for social media because I follow the Eels on everything. So I don't want to be like at the groceries. Yeah, I don't want to know because it's like, well, I don't even want to watch it, and even if they win or lose. So yeah, like I don't want to be at the grocery store and my fiance's somewhere and I lost her and I'm like, oh, let me just go on my phone and like, oh crap, I don't want to look at the score. Like so if it's too late, I try to time it out where I wake up, and usually my meal, like you said, is just coffee or whatever's in the fridge. But now that you say that, maybe I'll be like, all right, it's game day. I got to have like my Eels omelet or maybe do some sausage and eggs or cereal or something. But usually I'll make there's a meme I have on my phone that I had someone mess with on Reddit. It's like Homer Simpson on the couch, and I had somebody put like an Eels logo on his shirt, and then he's got like an iced coffee. I went through like an iced coffee kick last year. So it's like Homer Simpson on the couch with an Eels jersey and an iced coffee. So usually it's coffee. But I think you inspired me to like game day meal. So I think I might do that.
Well, I'll be very interested to see the results there and what the game day breakfast can be.
All right.
If you could meet anyone famous, dead or alive, in the world, and have a chat or a beer with, who would you like to meet, either dead or alive?
Man, there's so many people ever. Gee Louise, I don't know. Maybe Walter Payton, who's former Chicago Bear 1985 Super Bowl winner, regarded as the best football player to ever live, and just what it was like playing back then and being on a winning team, and just his player's mentality of always being the best. Because sometimes you'll see in the game now, going out of bounds isn't like as bad as it is in the rugby league, because obviously you turn the ball over. And in the NFL, you go out of bounds, you get the ball there, blah, blah, blah. You can't hit me. Back then in the early days, even today, but players' mentality was different. People run out of bounds now, like, oh, don't hit me, let me just get down. Walter Payton be like, if I'm near that sideline, I'm going to take you with me, or I'm going to hit you. I'm not just going to scurry out so you can't hit me. And just like, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to make you afraid of hitting me, because your job's to hit me. I'm going to make you scared to hit me. And then all his humanitarian stuff. And then obviously he unfortunately died early. I forgot what the sickness was. I think it was something with his kidneys. But he died, and it was really sad, and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it'd be Walter Payton. That's off the top of my head. I'd have to think about it, but that'd be a really good one, I think.
That's fine. Sort of a little bit back to rugby league. Which current day Parramatta Eels player do you think could make it in the NFL?
Okay, so on again, keep bringing up the Facebook group. I got bored. Want to talk rugby league? I literally, maybe you've seen it. I don't know. It was like a big old post. I took every current player on the roster last year, and I did like a little. I was so bored. I did a little bio of them and who would play where in the NFL. I'd have to pull it up. Maybe I could find it and send it to you on Messenger.
Yeah, definitely.
And and I did everyone's position, what they would play. Maybe I'll do a few right now. Let me see. I I think Dylan Brown would be like a good slot receiver because he's so fast. But I think his body type a little small for running back, so put him in the slot. So not on the far outside.
Okay.
On the inside. I don't know how much you know football, so I apologize if I'm telling you something
not
you
a
already know.
lot, not a lot, a little bit.
Okay, like the quicker receivers are like out inside the bigger, basically the quicker receivers that catch the ball and kind of.
Yep.
Mitchell Moses, I think, would be a running back. He reminds me a lot of Christian McCaffrey, if you're familiar with him. Gutherson, I think he'd be more of a defensive player and play that safety position. I'm sorry if I'm giving you too many answers. I know you said quick six.
That's all right.
But this did go through my head. And recently, I follow Clarkie's rugby league column. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. I don't know him or anything. I just follow his post because it's actually really informational because he does new stuff every day. So shout out to him. That's really helpful for me personally. But he made a post about Latrell Mitchell, who I like, and Trebojevic. They went to the same trainer of some sort in the United States to fix their injuries or whatever. And that dude made a comment about them playing the NFL. And I commented on that particular news one that he did. And I was like, Latrell Mitchell, probably not, just based on his body type. And I really don't. He's good in rugby league, but I don't think his skill set would translate well.
Okay.
I think Trebojevic would translate well in the NFL as a tight end, whose position is to block. He's a big human. And also, like, his running skills are really impressive for his size. And so in the NFL, he blocks and catches. Like, he'd be similar to, like, if you're familiar with who Travis Kelce is. I don't think he'd be as good, obviously, but that would be the position of choice. Big body dude catching the ball. And people from Australia were trashing me. I'm like, maybe you don't know what you're talking about. Or, like, I don't know. Like, why am I getting so – I don't know. I didn't think I should have got trashed as much as I did. But that was my comparison for something like that.
Maybe they didn't know that you're American.
Yeah,
maybe,
for sure.
Maybe
yeah,
you're Aussie and just having a crack.
Yeah,
no, that's it. And the last one, who's your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
I'm sorry, favorite what? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
Who is your favourite band or artist, solo artist to listen to?
I'll be honest. I've never not liked music. I think that's kind of crazy to say, but I've just never been a fan of anybody in particular. Okay. I've always been kind of a guy that listens to whatever's on the radio, what's popular. My dad growing up always listened to rock and roll, like the 80s, 70s, 80s rock. So like whenever that comes on, like I kind of keep it on the radio because it reminds me of my dad, and he loves like, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Scorpions, Metallica, all that genre. Okay. So when that comes on, I enjoy listening to that. Nothing I listen to regularly. Right now, I really like Post Malone. I guess you could say I like his music. He's got the rap thing going, but he's also like hip hop, and I like how his voice, like, it's really cool. I don't know, he does cool things. But sorry to disappoint. I don't really have anyone particular that I'm like die hard for. Nah,
that's okay. He's just been recently out in Australia with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Post Malone. So
I did hear about that.
On tour with them, doing the warm up show for them. So just recently. Well, Ron Greep, thank you very much for coming on the Parra Cave podcast today. I really enjoyed it. It's very interesting to know that someone in Chicago or near Chicago over there in the US is so passionate about the Parramatta Eels and rugby league, and it's just interesting to get another fan's story about their support of the Parramatta Eels and rugby league. And wanting to learn more and keep in touch with the game. So let's keep in touch, and we might touch base again halfway through the year, and we'll see how the Eels are going and your thoughts. And thank you very much for coming on the Parra Cave podcast today.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and for sure I'd love to do this again. Like I said, I can't talk about this very much out loud and express my actual thoughts, and thank you for having me. But I do have one question for you.
Yep.
I noticed you do posts before games or when you're at the stadium doing a selfie photo where you're like first try scorer, this and that. I have to ask you this, and I forgot to mention this person's name before. Who are you going to make your first try scorer when Tom Opacek is gone? Because I think that was your pick. Every single week, I'm like, man, I hope this happens for him. It's like it's every week.
Okay, well, that's good to know that you're watching. Look, before it was Brad Takarangi before, And then I stuck with Tommy Opchek, but
And he's good. We're gonna miss that guy. He was so good.
Yeah, I might make it Will Penasini. I think maybe he might be the guy. And I think maybe last year
You like the centers?
Yeah, maybe last year he got one or two, but look, how that all started was a bit of a joke. I picked Brad Tekarangi one week and just stuck with him. And see, my thought process about that was the fact that when Mitchell or the halfback at the time would kick a crossfield, Fergo or someone like that would tap the ball back to the centre, and that's why they would score.
Uh-huh.
And
okay.
that was only the theory. It was a crazy theory. I don't gamble on it or anything. I just put it up there and bit of fun.
Yeah.
But thanks for that question.
No problem. I just like, I wonder whose guy's gonna be this year, and I was like, as you're talking to players, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to mention Top Opachek and guys leaving, because he was a really good role player too. He wasn't the best guy ever, but he just did his job and didn't really make a lot of mistakes. But I always thought it was awesome that you picked him, because like it was always a legitimate chance. I was like, dang, I wonder who he's going to pick now. He's gone.
Yeah, no, he was a solid first grader, and not a superstar, but yeah, like you said, did his job. And over in Hull, I always get these ones mixed up. Hull.
I think it's like HK or something.
Yeah, I think he's with KR. I think Hull KR. So
or something. Yeah,
over in the English Super League. So wish all the best for Tommy. So, well, Ron, thank you very much for coming on the Parrot Cave podcast today.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Ron's rugby league support story and his story to do with the Parramatta Eels. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did too, and it just shows you that the game could really take off in America if marketed correctly. Now, thanks, Ron, for your chat, and no doubt we'll be chatting again soon during the season, no doubt. Him and I are both excited that this week the NRL competition kicks off with our Parramatta Eels taking on the Melbourne Storm at CommBank Stadium. Once again, a quick shout out and thanks to Jack's Pale Ale, a fantastic major sponsor of the podcast, for supporting the podcast. Don't forget, Jack's Pale Ale is back and available to purchase in the club shop. Perfect for that Eels fan or beer lover. Drop into the club shop and get some today. And also keep an eye out on the social media channels for what's happening at Parramatta Leagues Club each and every week. Also, if you sign up as a member of Parramatta Leagues Club, you'll also get your 10% discount on all your Eels merchandise in the club shop as well. With the season kicking off this week as well, you want to be decked out in all that Parramatta gear. And Beau Cook from Loan Market. Once again, his contact number is 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. And also Scott from Brightside Detailing and Ceramics. You'll find Scott and Brightside Detailing and Ceramics and the jobs that he can do on Instagram and Facebook, or you can contact him today and you'll be driving around in the shiniest and cleanest car in town. 0449 544 086, and again, let him know that you heard it here from Troy on the Parrot Cave podcast. Please support these businesses that support the podcast, that help bring you quality entertainment each week, and share the love on socials as well. Thank you once again to you, the listeners, for listening, and don't forget, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast so as soon as it drops, you'll be able to listen to it. Encourage your family and friends as well to do the same. Any support will be most appreciated, and please leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform you listen to. It will be most appreciated. Thank you once again to the official media partner as well of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. Now, before we go today, a massive congratulations to James Utai Cairns, who was last week's podcast chat. James is the president and player for the Thailand Rugby League team, and they had a win on the Saturday on the weekend just gone over Japan, 32-4, with James scoring a couple of tries as well. So congratulations to James and the team for their win against Japan. Look forward to the next time that you play as well. But congratulations on the win. Bright times ahead. Have a great week as best you can. The NRL season 2023 is only 3 sleeps away. Can't wait for it to start, but make sure you follow the podcast on all the social media channels for some interesting content and to see who is coming up next on the podcast, both on Instagram and Facebook as well. Some great and interesting guests coming your way over the next few weeks. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!